Hello and welcome to our latest deity game here with me, Adrenaline, and we are playing as Ludwig of Germany, Wunderbar, and all that. And we're playing on the shuffle map, although this looks very island-oriented. We're playing the same usual settings I like to always play. We're playing Tech Civic Shuffle, we're playing with monopolies and corporations, you know, make sure we can make the most of our luxury resources. And over to the west. First thing I'd like to show you guys is sometimes lucky.
The natural history of this archipelago is very remarkable. It seems to be a little world within itself.
That is Galapagos, and not just any Galapagos, because obviously it's one of the few ocean-based wonders, and a very powerful one for science, especially in that it is right next door to where we want to settle. Like, holy moly. Like, this was a jackpot. I don't think I've ever had a game where you could just access so much science just for being adjacent to a wonder like this. Like, now, of course, there's Mount Roraima and other science-based wonders, you know, Eye of Sahara, but Galapagos is usually kind of difficult to really take advantage of simply because of its location having to be on the sea. But this is literally next door to our third city settlement. We're going to settle on this so that we can save the tile, and we're going to take advantage of all these tiles. It's quite remarkable. I'm very happy about that. We have two cities already. We have Barbs to the south. We have a warrior coming in to hopefully take this down. It would be nice if we could take this down before they build quadriremes, because then it'll make the job a lot harder to try and kill this off. But let's see how we get on with that. And yeah, we've already built Stonehenge. We have ourselves our religion, reliquaries and holy order. You know, the standard fare for culture games, trying to get that boost in tourism, try to get those relics going and all that. We're also built hanging gardens, and we are in the process of building Oracle. I'm not sure if we make that, but it's quite a nice start. I gotta say, you want to try and get yourself at least a couple ancient wonders we already have. Maybe our third Oracle's a little bit of a stretch though. And we'll see how it gets on. So, as we always do, let's have a look at Ludwig's kit, shall we? And let's also see what benefits we can make from a culture game with him. So, we start with Swan King. Wonders, Wunderbar, even if not finished, receive +2 culture for every adjacent district. We haven't built districts yet, so not taking advantage of it right now, but this will be very valuable throughout the course of the game. This culture is displayed in the city yields. All culture adjacencies provide tourism after discovering castles. That's pretty awesome because, you know, obviously, culture victories are based around tourism value rather than necessarily culture, and trying to convert your culture to tourism is a big part of that. And castles is fairly early on. I think it's a medieval tech that is boosted by getting your second-tier government, like a policy, 6 policy slot government, which you can also boost with potentially other wonders and such, and maybe congresses. So it's really cool to get this, like, really early online. I'm going to have a variety of cities. They're all going to be building wonders. They're all going to be, you know, getting me some of the culture. There'll be districts throughout. And a lot of the time, a lot of the wonders require districts to be adjacent to. So it naturally harmonize with that. This is probably the reason why you want to play culture with Ludwig. Because the rest is sadly, for me at least, rather lackluster. We go to 3 imperial cities. Each city can build 1 more district than usual, exceeding the normal based on population. So, I'm someone that likes to build big cities. I tend to build my cities up to around 15 population each. The later ones might be a little smaller. 15 population unlocks some really nice policy cards to gain extra yields, you might have heard of, alongside 4 adjacency bonuses, 4 and above. So I'm never really in much need of needing to build more than 1 district in a city prior to their growth. I am pretty aware and keen-eyed on how they're growing and tend to build accordingly. Whether it's for food, housing, or whatever, I tend to make sure that every one of my cities is pretty quick and growing. For those of you who might not be so inclined, this may be quite a valuable ability. But for me, I would be interested to see what, if it is a Ludwig ability, what I may have lost from Barbarossa, his German counterpart, which may for me have been more beneficial. U-boat. Me boat? You boat? His boat? I don't know. U-boat. German, unique, modern era naval unit that replaces the submarine. Cheaper to produce, +1 sight, and +10 combat strength when fighting on ocean tiles, aka not coastal tile. Able to reveal other stealth units. Late in the game, not really easy to be using for any sort of era score. By that time, especially in a culture game, I'm going to be generating most of my era score with either the Last Wonders or national parks. It's not useful for me. This might be good in other win cons and other players, but not for me. Hansa. Bear in mind, I do not like building negative appeal industrial zones in a very appeal-oriented culture game. So I don't build these. Not for culture. A district unique to Germany for industrial activity. Replaces the industrial zone district and is cheaper to build. I might build one for the era score. That's about it. +2 production bonus for each adjacent commercial hub, aqueduct, canal, and dam districts. +1 production bonus for each adjacent resource. +1 production bonus for every 2 adjacent district tiles. Very, very, very powerful and amazing for science. So I definitely see the value in it. And maybe I might build another for a wonder or something like that, but there's got to be a good reason for it. Otherwise, I tend to want to generate my production with, other non-negative appeal things like sanctuaries and preserves or trade routes or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to Swan King. The rest maybe we'll be passing on. So it's now turned 46 and moved on a little bit, and what I'd like to talk about is that we really don't have much territory to work with, do we? We are on a bit of a small-ish continent, island type situation. We have built our main 3 cities. We are still planning to take a bit of advantage, but not as much as I was initially intending, with this city being slightly changed. And we've built a couple more wonders. We've also built an encampment to make ourselves a statue of Zeus. And we are about to build Temple of Artemis. But where our next cities are going to come from is going to be the challenge, I'd say. We could look to the south and hope that there's more land down here. We could also look to the north past Lahore and see if there's anything over there. We are planning to build a city here, by the way, which is why I leave this tile open. That tile is a T tile, which will give us access to immediate amenity when we do so. But then, after that, we're going to need to explore, and I'm not entirely sure where we're going to do that.
Harald Sigurðarson stendur fyrir þér. Aldrei var víking slík landsnja lagar. Ertu hræddur?
And we finally found our first fellow civilization, and it's none other than, of course, seafaring Norway. Who else is going to find us in the middle of an ocean kind of situation than someone who's good at naval navigation? And there we have Harald Hardrada. Would you like to visit our nearby city and sample our hospitality? I have been told and informed that this one is us speaking and therefore bad for us because he's getting the benefit and not us from the location of our capital. But to that I say phooey, because I don't care to be enemies of other people. You're telling me this is something that's beneficial to him, that I am giving to him, that I don't really mind? For me, that is very much within my plans of trying to befriend everybody so that I don't have to go to war with people, and giving them something that I find relatively free in favor of goodwill and maybe a positive relationship. If he becomes friends with me because of accepting this, I am more than happy to do so.
Those other marvels lost their brilliancy, and I said, lo, apart from Olympus, the sun never looked on aught so grand.
Temple of Artemis, woohoo! Arguably the easiest ancient wonder to get, the least contested usually. It can be insane. I don't think this map offers the same kind of abundant food benefits, as you can see, an amenity rather, I should say, that other games I've had have been able to produce. But it is very
People
good.
who cannot find time for recreation.
And, you know, in a culture game, you're looking to build as many wonders as possible. As you can see, we're already kind of decorating wonders in and around places for theater squares to make sure they're as powerful as possible. Moving further into the game, we're building even more wonders and getting ourselves even more population. Just have a look at this. Of course, the first city that you get to 10 size population, as says here, will give you some era score and will give you a boost towards civil service, which will help potentially form an alliance if we wish, which can be very helpful for culture games. And then in addition to that, we're also going to build a Temenunki, a tiny monkey, no, a Temenunki, and it will give us some valuable adjacency bonus for our theater square plans. Now, we don't have any floodplains really in this territory, though this is a marsh tile that we might be able to acquire. So the actual science bonus might not be so great, but we don't care about that. We're building a culture game over here.
Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves.
A name? What kind of name? A tiny monkey's name. Like Coco or something. I don't know. Apu or whatever. Anyway, we're getting on and making our way through this game. As we progress further into the game, you can now see that we've found even more people. We found the Netherlands and we found Spain. It's a whole European contingent over here. We also are making a bunch of wonders, as is the name of the game for basically the first half at the very least of any culture game. And, you know, we've built Angkor Wat. What? Indeed. We've built Mont Saint-Michel, so that might even help us with our reliquaries and the tourism boost, because now we have every apostle gives us a martyr for free. We are in the process of building Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, adjacent to the harbor. We are about to finish Hagia Sophia, which will make this a very lucrative sort of, you know, basket of wonders. Das Wunderbar, as it were, for our plan to be theater squares, which we'll be building soon to make most advantage of our culture with that. Okay, so moving on, and we are about to make probably our strongest wonder of this game, and that is a really sweet looking Basil's Cathedral. Now, Basil's Cathedral is really strong, and there are a few reasons for that. If I can find, maybe if I could right click on this? No? If I find it, I want the details on it. Yeah. So, plus 100% religious tourism from this city, which means that the, when we build a holy site there and we get a relic there, we'll be able to double the triple that's already happening for our religion. So that's like 6 times the amount. And then, of course, it has the very nice food production and culture, which is relevant, boost to the Tundra Tiles, which that city specifically has a lot of. And it must be built adjacent to a city center. But arguably its strongest thing for us is that it gives us 3 more relic slots. There's only a certain number of wonders that can give us actual relic slots. There's Mont Saint-Michel, there's Apadana, there's... This one gives you the most. So when we're doing this kind of a game, and we're going for this kind of religious tourism kind of strategy, nothing quite like St. Basil's Cathedral really encapsulates that. So I think this is a really nice wonder to get, especially if you can make the most out of all those relics and the reliquary boosts. It is at this point that we have now met everybody. We've also made 4 alliances. Why? Because everything but science. I don't want to be boosting science if I can help it, since that's the biggest obstacle to our victory.
But nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, eh? And sure enough, look at what Spain are doing right here. Just a march, a parade of apostle units just trying to, so far, not convert my cities, thankfully. I don't know where they're headed. Lahore, I don't know. But, yeah, this is quite the portrayal of a funny meme as well as real life, I guess. The Spanish Inquisition sure is quite strong. We have a couple of religious units to help hold the fort, but hopefully we won't need to worry about that too much. Of course, don't forget we are building some really beautiful theater square locations. Like 5 wonders around this one. I mean, that's insane, isn't it? And the reason why I mention this is because if you have a look, a plus 10 double digits in Munich. That's ridiculous. And a plus 7 in Cologne. And that is why our culture is so damn high. Especially if you have a look. Plus almost 60 from Munich and Cologne. And we haven't even built our amphitheater here yet. Nor housing any sort of like pieces of writing for it. That automatically boosted up by 6 to 62. Like, it's just, and it's not even housing any works of art yet. It's just insane what you can do with some really careful strategic placements of wonders and then be able to boost them up with really powerful theater squares. Alright, moving to the end of this game, but not quite done yet. We're about to get ourselves a golden age with only 2 turns remaining. You can see that we're just underneath, but fortunately, given all our culture, given all our theater squares, we've been able to accrue enough great points to get ourselves that great artist. It's Monet time. Claude Monet, Monet Talks. Yeah. Loads and loads of Monet. And with that, we can add to a little bit of our art museum over here. And make the most of our last few turns. We've done it! We've achieved our goal! Woo! Just have a look. In the Golden Age, 306 over 302, we have achieved our victory. And all the while using that beautiful swan ability that Ludwig has with having wonders built throughout the course of the game, generating even more, a total of over 1,000 culture by the end of it. It's been a real interesting game, you know. We've had some religious pressure going on with Spain. At first, we were very unsure how many cities we could even make. We had the lovely Galapagos, but we never really made the most of that, even with the proximity, because, you know, we weren't really, even though we have Fawlty Towers, we weren't really going for science. But it's really nice to have that, at least, anyway. We were able to eventually make some land up north. You know, we were able to even take Lahore with Stamford Raffles. We were able to even come down here and make a city over here. But we didn't ever really make that many cities. It was more about just being efficient with what we had, making really good theater squares. Yes, I'd say it again, this sort of layout is very, very powerful when it comes to this sort of game. And, you know, you don't need that many cities. Honestly, these 3 cities are arguably the main cities of the whole game. Yes, we've had other cities, but there aren't really that much. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, maybe a comment below, asking what you would like to see next. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.
The worth of a culture is not measured by its accomplishments, but in how those accomplishments last and how they are remembered. The beauty that you have inspired our people to create will ensure that our culture stands for all time.